Definitely, definitely, definitely. Kushal, so shall we begin?
Yeah, we can start.
Absolutely. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to that time of the day where you come across some of the greatest people of all time talking about stuff that they are specialized in. Let's say this is going to be like a super spotlight talking about what people really love, and it's all going to be an extensive amount of knowledge that's going to be like a waterfall. Anyway, so the person who we have today, Kushal Bhagia. Kushal has been a former CEO of First Tech VC, which is a pre-seed and seed fund venture capital firm, which has invested in more than 100 plus startups. And these are not just in any specific segment. These are across, as Kushal mentions, ranging from agri-tech, ed-tech, to all the way up to space tech. So, yeah, Kushal, welcome to BlueLearn.
Thanks so much, Chandan, for the kind introduction. Happy to be here and happy to share my learnings with the audience here.
Absolutely looking forward to it, man. And throughout the session, I really want, we have 103 audience with us right now. I really want every single one of you to message, at least say a hi on the no mic section. Can I see yes? Can I see the number one? If you're there, can we hear that? Can we see that? Yeah. Okay. All right. Thanks, guys. I really want you all to be like super pumped up because this is going to be like, yeah, that powerful show. We have 150 people with us right now. Kushal, so let's get started.
Okay, awesome. So again, thanks for having me, guys. I'm happy to share my learnings and help you guys sort of chart out your future plans with your startups. So the first thing you need to sort of realize when you're thinking about funding is that am I building a fundable startup? Okay. There are different kinds of businesses, right? There are people who run restaurants, there are people who run kirana stores, there are people who run recruitment agencies, and then there are startups, right? So startup is actually a very specific kind of business which is something which can grow really fast. So like a normal business, if you see a restaurant wherever you grew up, right, it's likely that that guy still has the same restaurant and he serves the same kind of customers. It's a good business. They probably make 10, 20, 50 lakhs a year, but that's what they've been doing for the past 20 years, and that's what they will do for the next 10, 20 years also, right? But a startup is something which can scale up really fast, and in a few in a few sort of years it can reach the scale of a Uber or a Flipkart or a Facebook or something like that. So that if you are building that, then that is what I would call a startup, and that is what is basically VC fundable. Okay, so if you're not building that, that's also fine. It doesn't mean you're not in the right business. It just means you're a different DNA of your business, and you should look at other sources of funding, and you should not go to VCs for funding. So, for example, if you're starting, say, a website development company, or if you're starting a recruitment agency, or if you're starting a like a restaurant or a cloud kitchen, so these are ideas which will not become the next Facebook or the next Uber, right? So you can just sort of go bootstrap these ideas or look at other sources of capital. The thumb rule is you need to think of is that whatever business I'm starting, is it something which has the potential of doing $100 million in revenue in the next 5 or 10 years, right? So if you're starting a business today in 2022, by 2030, is it possible that this company will do 700 crore rupees of 750 crore rupees of revenue in 1 year, right? If you think that is a scale it could go to, then you are in a VC business, right? Because that is what a VC will look at before they decide to invest in a startup, right? So first get this clarity in your mind: am I building a business or am I building a startup? Once you sort of figure out that yes, this has scale, this is something which can become that big where the company can easily do 700 crore of revenue, then you sort of conclude that you're a startup. Okay. Now how do you conclude that this can do 700 crore of revenue, right? The easy way to think about it is that the total market for that product or that service should be at least 7 8,000 crore. If it is 7 8,000 crore, then you can safely assume that okay, I can take at least 10% of that in a decent scenario, and hence I'm sure that at least 700 crore I will be able to do, right? So for example, you can think of Uber. uh, for Uber to do his market size, you could sort of take a estimate that okay, how many taxi rides happen every day in India, how much do people pay for those taxi rides. So number of taxi rides per day into number of days in a year into average cost per taxi ride, that is roughly the market size for Uber in India, right? So now that number will definitely be beyond 10,000 crores easily, right? So Uber could have made a case that yes, I can start and I can easily get up to a 10% market share here, and hence I am a VC fundable business, right? So that's how you think about market size, and that's how you think about, is this a VC fundable startup, right? So the criteria one is big market, can do 100 million, and criteria two is can do that in 5 to 6 years. Okay, it's not good enough to say that I will get there eventually, because a VC fund typically looks for returns in 8 to 10 years time frame, maximum. So if you're starting a business today, they will expect you to do 100 million revenue by the time you're in year 7, year 8, year 9, right? So that's sort of how you think about if I'm a startup or not. Now if you are a startup, then the easy way to raise money is first from your customers. So if you can build something quickly, you can go sell it to some people, they will give you some money. That is always the best way to get some money in the bank, because people are validating that they actually need the product that you're building, right? So if it's a simple app, or if it's a web service or something like that, like for example what Harish has done with BlueLearn, right? They bootstrapped the community online, and they had so many people using as part of the community for so many months, and then they went and raised VC money, right? So the first thing to do if you want to raise money is don't go to investors. First, you should go to your users. You should try and build something, anything, right? Like it doesn't have to be a full-fledged product. It can just be a community. It could just be a service you give via WhatsApp. It could be a mock-up at Figma. It could just be something which gives the user a sense of the product. It may not really actually work. Like a good example of this is what Dropbox did. Like all of us will know what Dropbox is today, right? But when they started, they wanted to raise money, and no VC was willing to believe that that this is going to be a large business. So what the founders did is they just went and created a video which explained that okay, this is how Dropbox works. You put your files on your mobile, and automatically it comes on a computer, and vice versa. And they put up the video online, and the video went viral, and they got like some 75,000 people to sign up. That clearly showed that okay, people want to use Dropbox, right? And then they went to VCs with that evidence, and then they were able to raise money, right? So a VC will actually look for some kind of traction from your side, some kind of effort from your side, because as a VC, right, I get 10 pitches every day, and 8 of them are people who have not done anything yet, right? They just have an idea, they made a deck, and they send it to me, right? So as a VC, you have to think about that person's mindset. Does he, like, why will he take me seriously, right? Why will he or she take me seriously if I have not done anything yet? I don't have any users yet, I have no product yet. Then why will somebody give me money, right? It sounds too good to be true, because it is, right? So if you want to raise money, you should first build something, build anything. It can be a prototype. It's called an MVP, minimum viable prototype, which is what is the cheapest and easiest way of building your product and taking it to market, taking it to users, and seeing how they use it. Once you have an MVP, then you will have some learnings from the users. You may realize that people love my product. You may realize that nobody wants my product. You may realize that they're not using my product, but hey, if I build this extra feature, then it will become useful to them, right? So MVP really separates you from the crowd, and it sort of puts you in a place where an investor will take you more seriously, because you put in some effort, you have some traction, you have some idea of what your users want from you. So that's the number one thing I would recommend, right? Once you have an MVP, then you figure out who should I go to raise money from, right? So the options you have are: one is angels, two is micro VCs, and three is larger VC funds, right? So angels are people who are putting their own money, who are investing their own money. So if you look at Kunal Shah, or if you look at Kunal Bell, the Snapdeal founder, or you look at Harish Chawla, or you look at, there are many such people who who have made some money in life, and they want to back people now who are young and who are starting up. So they are typically called angels, and they're called angels because they are taking a risk with their own money, and they're betting on a founder who has not yet proven a business. So yeah, that's what an angel is. Category two is a micro VC, which is what First Check was, which is what Better Capital is, which is what Titan Capital. So all of there are a bunch of funds who put in $100,000, like basically 50 lakh to say 1.5 crore type check sizes, 50 lakh to say 2 crore type check sizes. Those are micro VC funds. They are usually open to backing people before they have a product, but even they will look for some kind of traction, some MVP, some community, something should be there. Third is you have options of like accelerators, like Y Combinator, Techstars. You have in India you have 100x VC. You have a couple of more folks. These people typically have an application process where you apply, and they interview you, and then they decide if they want to take you in. And typically they have a standard deal. They will take 7% or 10% of your company, and they'll give you say $100,000 or $50,000 or something like that. And then the fourth option is a VC fund. A VC fund is like a VC is somebody who's managing other people's money, right? So it's like they've collected money from a bunch of people, and now they're going to invest this money in startups. And then once these startups do well, they'll be able to sell their stake in those startups and return the money to their own investors. Right now, but because they are investing other people's money, the bar for them is very high. They need to see some traction. They need to see some business model. They need to see your, acquisition channels. They need to see a lot of evidence before they buy in and invest in your company. So they sometimes do pre-product deals or very very early stage deals, but that is only when the founder is like somebody who has already built something or somebody who has a lot of credibility. Like, so for example, if somebody who's been a PM at say Razorpay or Cred or Insta, some kind of company which is already working at scale, if they start a company, or somebody who's built a company already and sold one company before, so then they come with some credibility, right? So those kind of people are able to raise VC money without doing any product. But for everybody else, you have to build a product, you have to show some traction. That is when a VC will come in, right? So think about where I am in this scenario. Do I have a product? Do I have a team? Can I ship something? Can I build an MVP? Right? Once you have an MVP, once you have a product, once you have something going, that is the time to sort of go for a funding round. Because before that, you will face a lot of questions which you will not have answers to, and it will be a waste of your time and the investor's time also, right? So that's what I generally advise. If you really need some money to build a product, maybe you are in a category which needs money to start. Like you can't even you can't do anything till somebody gives you money. Then you can go to an accelerator like Y Combinator or 100x or Techstars or something like that. They'll put in some small money and then they will help you raise more money in a follow-on round. But even they usually look for some kind of evidence of some traction, right? So like for how I explain the Dropbox example, similarly you need to do some kind of traction, and you need to show that people actually want to use the product that you are building, and that is when a VC will get interested. So in short, that's the sort of quick explanation. I'll take a pause here, and I think we can start answering questions if any. So somebody is asking, if you were born in Manipur, what type of startup will you start? In short, what potential do you see in Manipur? So I would not think too much about where I am based. Zebmo, so it doesn't matter, right? Like there are people who you can live wherever you're living. Just find a user like TG that you want to build for. It doesn't matter as much where you are, because most people find the users on the internet. So you could be in Manipur, you could be in Goa, you could be in Bangalore. It's not too it doesn't really matter that much, as long as you are able to find users online and interact with them online, and find them online, then that's all that matters. Your physical look, it's better if you are in a city like Bangalore or some place like that, but it's not a necessity. Baby Yoda asks, can you repeat this? I'm sorry, I don't know what you want me to repeat. Maybe you can write it down there. Gautam asks, what do you look for in a deck? So yeah, in a deck, right, there are 3-4 things. One is you want to see what is the market size, how big is this idea, like as I mentioned that 700 crore thing, is it possible for this company to do? Secondly, team, that is very important. Who is building this idea, right? Does this person have the capability to even build this idea? Third is like, what is the product, right? So what is the problem and what is the product? And fourth would be your traction. So what have you done? How many users you have, how fast you are growing, and so on. So these 4 things are the most important things in a deck. Okay, then AV Master. Okay, Baby Oda as the angel investor accelerator. Okay, so I just repeat this part again. So basically, there are 3 or 4 types of capital, right? One is you have angels, you have accelerators, you have micro VCs, and you have VC funds. Okay, angels are individuals investing their own money are called angels. Accelerators are people who run like a program. So they give you some money, but they also coach you, they teach you, they connect you to other investors, they spend time with you, right? So they are supposed to sort of be more than an investor. They actually do weekly sessions and so on. Then there is a micro VC fund which puts in other checks like 150k to 200k to 200k size checks. And then there are VCs which put in even more bigger checks like 250k to 1 million, 2 million, 10 million, and so on. And so that's the landscape. If you're just starting up, you can go to an accelerator or to an angel. There are no rules as such. Everybody can invest in whatever they feel like. So there are no hard rules as such, but you're likely to raise money from an accelerator or from an angel, and less likely to raise money from a large VC fund. Hemant has so AV Master has asked, how do I go about finding angel investors in India? So it's not that hard, guys. Like there are many lists online. Like actually, I'll share one list here also. There's a Twitter handle called Unicorn Baba. He had collated a bunch of names. So I put the list here. If you just Google around, you will find other lists as well. So most people who are angel investors, they want to be approached, right? They're not people who want to hide themselves or who don't want people to approach them, right? It's their job. Like it is my job to talk to young people who are starting companies, evaluate them, and see where I want to invest, right? So if you just Google me, you will find my email ID, you will find me on Twitter, you might even find my mobile number, right? So it's most people are like that who are in the VC world. If you just Google them, you will find their email IDs. And if you write a well-crafted cold mail, most likely you'll get a reply. I don't send an essay of 2-3 pages saying I was born here and this is my dream and this, and like just say this is a problem which exists. This is a solution which I have built. These are how many people are using my product. Like in 4 lines, explain what you have done, and hey, here's a quick link to a demo of a product, and here's a deck attached. Can we have a quick call, right? So if you just do a cold mail like that, and if you frame it well, 99% you will get a reply. So it's not that hard. You can just go and mail people and they usually reply. If you're not getting success there, then likely means that your cold mail is wrong, or like you're not really pitching yourself well in the cold mail, or it could mean that your idea sucks, right? Like nobody wants to talk to you because your idea is not fundable. If you try cold mailing and you don't get responses, you can talk to some seniors in your college. You can talk to other founders who have raised money, and you can get feedback from them on, hey, this is my deck, this is my idea, this is my traction, what am I doing wrong? And they will be able to guide you, okay, this is what I think you should fix, or this is what you should think about doing. That's a great way to go about it. The best way to get an intro to a investor is to go via a founder that they have already funded, right? So you can, for example, see my portfolio on the First Check website, and if you go talk to any of those founders, if you know any of them, either they're college seniors or maybe you interned in their company, or in some way or the other you were in touch with them, you can go to them and tell them that this is, I want to talk to Kushal, can you make the introduction for me? And if you are smart and if you've done something of value, most likely they will, right? So an investor will always prioritize inbound requests from people that they know, right? So if a founder that I have funded, if he recommends a deal to me saying, hey, Chandan is starting a company, you should talk to him, then definitely I will talk to him in the next 2-3 days. If I get a cold mail, I'll likely talk to that person in 1 week or 2 weeks time. I'm not going to prioritize that, right? So going through a founder that the investor has funded is the best idea. Otherwise, cold mails also work if you frame them well. Gautam has asked, how do you precisely look for market data? For example, it's kind of impossible. So it's not, Gautam. There are ways to sort of estimate it. You don't need an exact number, but it is possible to make an estimate, right? So and there are multiple sources. Like you can, for example, go and look at publicly listed companies. You can read their annual reports, right? So for example, say you are launching something in the banking, in the financial sector, right? So you can go read HDFC Bank's reports, and there you will find all the data of how many SMEs are there, how many individuals are there who use credit cards, how many businesses take loans, what volume of loans. So all the data you will get from there. Otherwise, also if you do some basic googling online, usually it's easy to find a number. Like so, for example, if you talk about unorganized sector, you should be able to look at HUL, which is Hindustan Unilever's reports, and find out, okay, how many Kirana stores exist in India, and how many. So actually, just give me 1 second. Sorry. Hello. Yeah. So, for example, you'll get a number for how many Kirana stores exist all over India from HUL or ITC reports or any of these FMCG brands, and then if your product is going to charge one Kirana store say 100 rupees per month, Total number of kirana stores multiplied by 100 rupees into 12 months is your market size potentially, right? So it's not that hard. If you just Google around, you will find some approximate numbers, and with some guesstimate, you can come to a market size. Okay, Dark has asked, do you connection with influencer management company? No, I don't have a influencer management connect. What according to you is better? Doing startup without any investor, take more time to grow, or take help from investor and give them some equity to grow fastly? So this depends on what startup you are in. As I said earlier, right? There are some businesses which are winner take all, right? Like for example, there are only two e-commerce sites left now, Amazon and Flipkart, right? If you think of 2015, there used to be 20, 30 e-commerce companies. Similarly, with food delivery, there used to be two companies in every city. Now there's only Swiggy and Zomato left, right? So there are some businesses which are inherently like this, that only one or two players will survive because either they have network effects or they just need too much money to finally build it out. If you're in that kind of a business, then you need an investor. Otherwise, you can't win without money, right? So if you're in that market, then you have to go raise money. If you're not in that market, you're building say some kind of SaaS tool, like for example, say you were building ChargeBee or you were building Freshworks or Postman. That kind of company, you can build on your own the product, especially if you're a programmer, and you can get some initial traction. You may even get people to pay you for the product, and once you get paying customers, then you can go to a VC if you want to, or you can choose to run that business without a VC also. So yeah, you'll have to understand what kind of business you're in and then take a call. Sumit is saying you're saying the valuation of a company should be 1,000 crore, but before starting the company, how do? No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying the revenue of the company per year should be at least 700 crore, right? I'm not saying valuation. I'm saying revenue of a company eventually. So if I fund a company today, what I'm expecting is that this company in year 7, year 8, year 9 will potentially do 700 crore plus revenue every year. The valuation is usually a multiple of that. So each company is valued differently. We'll have to look at public market comparisons to come to that, but that's a whole different discussion. So Vivek asked, what is the valuation? Is valuation important for startups at fund? See, valuation is not in your hands. Okay, if you go to an investor and pitch, they will give you a valuation. Unless you have other offers, you have to take it, right? Like if I give you an offer, if you want the money, you have to take it, right? There is no. This is very different from. See, it takes some time to understand how this world works, right? This is not the same as school where you study hard and you get a good grade, or college, right, where you studied and you got a 9 point CGPA, right? It doesn't matter, like here it doesn't matter how hard you studied or what you did, right? If you have one offer, then you take that offer or you don't take that offer. There's no other choice, right? But if you have 3 4 offers, then you take the best one that you have, right? So valuation is basically something with the market is willing to pay for your company. There is no basis or there is no sort of formula to calculate what is the right valuation. It's basically whatever is available. So Ace has asked, what are some of the famous accelerator programs? Y Combinator takes a bunch of people from India. Techstars is active in India. Entrepreneur First is another one. Then there is 100x VC. Then there is Antler is also launched an accelerator. So there are five or six decent ones that you can go to. How about crowdfunding? So crowdfunding, I don't know much about. I think in the US it's legal and people do it there on Kickstarter. In India, I don't know the legalities of this. So Akif has asked, does the calculation of TAM and SAM is required during fundraising? Yes, it is required. So Dark, I don't have a connection with influencer management company. Arish has asked, on what basis do you hire people, skills or character? So both are important. Obviously, you can't work with a crook. So you can't. If somebody doesn't have integrity, doesn't have honesty, then you can't work with them. That's a base level criteria. But it depends on your stage, right? Like so, pre PMF, it's very hard to find people because you don't have money, you don't have a product, right? So you'll have to find generalists who are generally just smart people, but who don't have a particular skill set, and you expect them to come in and pick up the skill set on the job. Usually, this works for pre PMF startups. But the criteria is that the person should have a very high risk appetite and should be okay with a high degree of uncertainty, because every week you might change your idea, right? So they come to work for you for say influencer management company, but by week 3 you are doing something completely else. So you need to have some kind of You need talent who's basically comfortable with uncertainty. That's the kind of people you need, who are smart plus comfortable with uncertainty. Somebody has asked, how do you know an idea is good? If users are using it, it's good, right? Like it's hard to say otherwise. Like if somebody comes to me and says, I want to do this, or I say the same thing to everyone, ki tu bana de na, matlab, you go make it and see if people want it. Because if you come and told me 10 years back that, I'm making an app जिसमें मैं लोगों को photo भेजूंगा and like that photo if you get, it will disappear in 10 seconds. I would have said, what will I do with this app? Like I would have definitely not invested, right? But now this company is Snapchat and it's a huge billion-dollar company. So it's very difficult for anybody to just hear an idea and accurately say every time that this will work or it will not work, right? The simple answer is to launch it and see if people are using it. If people are using it, it's working. What is the correct way of calculating valuation? There is no correct way. It's a bidding process. So somebody gives you a price, somebody else can match it or give you a better price. There's no process. How do you judge a team in all student startup team? So Gautam, for student teams, I look at proof of execution. Like, can these people build anything? Have they built anything before, like a web app or a mobile app or something? Like, if they have any, prior history of having built products, then I'm definitely interested to talk to them. So I have funded multiple student teams. Like for example, we had funded Kalam Labs, who's from Bits Pilani. We had funded one more Bits team called Strategy. These guys had all built some product before they came to us, right? And they were on their third or fourth product when they came to us. They had already tried a couple of things before, they didn't work, and then they had pivoted. And so that's sort of the kind of team that will usually be able to raise money as a student. Otherwise, for me, it's very hard to just look at a student and figure out if this guy can even build something or is this just some resume point for them, right? So I look at people who have actually built some product. So Ishan has asked, how perfect should you make a product before releasing it, assuming the product is software that is very different from anything that exists in the current market? Ishan, don't spend too much time building. Like, so MVP's definition is whatever you can do, which is the quickest and easiest way of shipping a product. Okay. So for example, if you know about Dunzo, right? Dunzo is now an app where you can order anybody to go from point A to point B, pick up food or pick up medicine from here or drop off my keys there, etc. When they started, it was just a WhatsApp number. So you would ping that number and say, I want to send my keys here. And the founder would literally show up and take your keys and go and give it there and take 100 rupees from you for that service, right? They literally ran that thing on WhatsApp for almost 1 year before they made an app, right? So, and why? Because they wanted to prove that, okay, people actually want this service, right? Otherwise, you should not devote time to coding and building and hiring and raising money before you know that people definitely want to use what I'm building. So the answer to your question is whatever you can do to make your product actually work without building it or building a very basic version of it, do it. Arushi has asked, what kind of traction in terms of users and MRR do VCs look for in early stage tech startup? So Arushi, again, there's no standard number, and I'll have to understand your business better before I comment on that. But like, if you are raising pre-seed rounds of say 200-300K happen before any revenue. So even if you have some users like 1,000, 5,000 people using your product, but there's no revenue yet, you could already go start, try and raise money. There's no one answer basically. That depends on the space you are in within EdTech and what exactly you're doing. eBird has asked, why and when should one raise money? Is in Bootstrap better? Yes, you're right. Bootstrap is better. But as I explained earlier, there are some markets which are winner take all. Like you can't build Swiggy bootstrapped. You can't build Flipkart bootstrapped. You can't build Uber bootstrapped, right? These companies need a lot of money to hire drivers and build warehouses and spend on marketing and so on, right? So you can't build that bootstrap, but you can build some other, like a web design agency, you can bootstrap it. A small SaaS company, you can bootstrap it. So there are many such, areas where you can bootstrap also. Chinmay has asked your perspective on competition. Competition doesn't matter. Most startups die because they're not able to ship a product which makes sense for users. Once you ship something which is working, after that you can start worrying about competition. It doesn't matter before that. How much equity would you advise to give up in the pre-seed and seed round? So pre-seed and seed typically 15% is the sort of average number. Sometimes it goes to 20, sometimes it comes to 10. But it's not that important. Like, it's important to get a good investor who understands your business, who's there for you, who, picks up your calls and helps you when you need their help. The valuation in itself is not that, like, uh, I mean, whether you give up 10% or 20%, what's more important is getting that 2-3 crore rupees in the bank so you can actually go and build what you want to build. That's when you have a shot at, getting ahead. So I would not fret too much about valuation and equity and all. Anything under 20% is fine, basically. Satya, I explained there is no way to calculate valuation. It's a bidding process, so there is no formula for it. Dhanush has asked, can we predict a company's success with this idea? No. Sahil has asked, do you think startups which are... Yeah, there are many bootstrap success to, like Zoho is a huge one. Zerodha is a big company. There's a company called Browser Stack which was bootstrapped for a long time. They finally, when they raised, they directly raised at some 500 million valuation. There are many bootstrap companies. Like, there's no there's no reason why you can't do that. Akif has asked, do you have a mind map or flow chart which you followed starting up? I don't really have that. Cyrus has asked, what are your thoughts on solo entrepreneurship? I've heard a lot of them are less likely to get funded, and I want to know why. Is co-founder mandatory? So Cyrus is a good question. It's not mandatory, but usually it's a good idea to have a co-founder. It's just less risky for an investor that I'm backing a team of 2-3 people who are all smart. See, what happens is if you do something on your own, right? Suppose it will take you 10 years to do something. If you do it with one more guy who's as smart as you, it's not going to take you 5 years. It'll take you 1 year. Like, this thing works on a logarithmic scale, right? So 2-3 people together are able to gel better. They're able to brainstorm on ideas. They're able to move much faster. They're able to open. They have different networks. They have different way of looking at problems. So things move much faster if there are 2 or 3 founders. Like, usually I like to see at least 2 founders, and best case 3. More than 3, then it becomes too much and it becomes difficult to manage. But it's a good idea to get one more person, because it's also a very lonely journey, right? Every day you will try something and it will not work. If you're on your own, then you'll feel bad. You'll feel, yeah, what am I doing? And you'll likely give up. But if it's 2 of you, then one day you will cry, one day he will cry, right? So on the net, it'll sort of net off, and you are there to support each other, and you tend to last longer if you have a co-founder. So, and you achieve more also, because you may be good at product, that guy may be good at marketing. So it's just a good idea to split the work, because you are not Superman that can do everything, right? So in general, it's a good idea to get a solo founder, but do get a co-founder. But in case you don't have one, then you can build. There are people who have built companies as solo founder, like Vijay Shekhar from Paytm or Ritesh from Oyo, right? So it's possible, but it's just you're making life harder for yourself. Rushi has asked, best platform to get seed funding. There's no platform as such. You can just go online and ping investors on LinkedIn. You can Google them. You can find their their email addresses, and yeah, you can just go and directly connect with whoever you want. School startups, if they can execute, is it a leverage or disadvantage? So I didn't understand your question, Gautam. Term sheet negotiable? Yes, it is very much negotiable. If somebody gives you an offer saying, I'll give you 2 crores for 20%, you can always counter and say, I'll take it, but I want you to give me for 15% or 10%. So you can negotiate, but as I said, if you have only one offer, then there's only so much you can negotiate, right? Like, the investor will know that you don't have an option, so he'll just say, take it or leave it, and then you have to take a call, yes or no. Some investors are more flexible than others, but this all depends on how hot of a deal you are. Do you have other offers or not? So somebody has asked, is there a possibility to get funding for influencer marketing agency which already has turnover of 1 crore? Answer is, you should not take funding, because you are a services business. So we see usually, like as I said, this business will not become worth 700 crore revenue in 5 years. So hence it's not a technology business. It's right. You have to hire people who manage influencers. If you have one guy, he can manage 10 influencers. If you have 10 guys, you can manage 100 influencers. There is no leverage which comes with technology in this business. So I would advise you to not raise money. If you try to raise money, you will waste your time and you will waste investors' time also. You should just earn money from the revenues you're already making. It was pretty cool if you have done 1 crore in 1.5 years with 2 people. That's fantastic number. So just keep adding more people and scaling it without investor money. So own car marts. I don't understand this question. Is it possible to get seed funding for service based, partially product based? I'll have to understand the product before I figure out. Azad has asked, do you or VCs interfere in the business or their policies? Has there been any incidents of companies and you having a conflict of opinion how it should? So no, Azad, like mostly VCs take 10, 15%, 20% stakes, right? So you are still a majority owner of the business, at least till Series B. So even if I disagree with the founder, I can't do much. And I'll tell them that I think differently and I think you're wrong. Then it's up to them to take it or leave it. It's their company. Most professional investors will not interfere in the business, because finally they understand and realize that the founder is the one who's building the company, not the investor. So it's pointless to intervene there. You are there as a sounding board. The founder can come talk to you, and if there's a major decision that they're taking. For example, the founder wants to think, okay, should we launch this new product? They'll come and brainstorm with you, and you can also give your advice there. But if you think you should not launch and the founder says no, I want to launch, you can't stop him, right? They have to go do what they want. Dark has asked me 3-4 times. I don't have a connection with an influencer management company. So somebody has asked, how do you find startups to work in if you want to work in one? It's pretty simple. There are many job boards. There are on LinkedIn. You will find job openings. On Angel List, you will find job openings. There are many other platforms like that. Somebody has asked. You mentioned some of your favorite books and movies which created an impact on you. Books, I think the Steve Jobs biography. Which other one? There's a book called India Unbound by Guru Saran Das, which I really like. Then there's a book called India After Gandhi by Ramchandra Guha, which again I really like. Then there's a book called The Wright Brothers, which covers the story of the Wright brothers, the guys who invented flight. Then there is a book called yeah, I think that's about it. So those are, I think, 4 or 5 good ones. Movies, there are many. Like I would rather not go into that right now. Aniket, I have done a series of videos on YouTube on what are term sheets and how to understand the terms. You can go look it up. There's no legality after raising the fund. You hire a CA and a lawyer, and they will deal with it for you. They will explain it to you. How can I connect with companies for B2B partnerships? You cold mail them. Somebody has asked, if I pitch you a concept, would you like to invest and back it up with a POC? I am sure I'll send the details. Yeah, so I mean, I can't promise on a message, right? So send me the deck or the product that you have built, and I'll take a look. And if it's interesting, I'll set up a call. And then if I like you on the call, then I can invest in you. In my writing a business plan is important. No, it's not important. But you should still write like some basic projection you should do, right? Like for example, if you show up at a meeting and the VC asks you a question and you don't know the answer, then you look bad, right? So you should do your own maths. Why this idea will work, how many customers I need, acquire them, how much my team will cost me, how much my suppliers will charge me, how much I'll pay my employees. So some basic maths you can do and have a broad number in mind. Okay, if I get 1 or 2 crores, this is how I will use it. Sumita asks, what should be the next step if we just have a good idea in a team? Build the product. What are you waiting for, right? Harsh has asked, if you got to know there's already a big leader in the market you're targeting, so will you pivot or sell your company to them? See, nobody wants to buy a company where the founder wants to sell. Okay, like people want to buy companies which are doing so well that they cannot do it on their own. So hence they want to go and buy that company. If they're already a very large leader, they'll just ignore you if you start a company today. So you should figure out if it's in a winner take all business or not, right? Like for example, would have heard of this company called Salesforce. It's a CRM software, right? There are it's huge. It's like I think 100 billion plus company. There are like hundreds of other CRM softwares on the market, and there are many of them which are doing very well. Many are unicorns also, because the market is not a winner take all market, right? So you should understand, is this a winner take all market? If yes, then there's no point competing with somebody who already raised $100 million. If it is not a winner take all market, then you can go for it. Chinmay as dropping out of high school to startup, I would not recommend it. Like the uh, there's no hurry, right? Like life is long, and you can always do the startup later on. Also, there is no such reason why you want to ditch a basic level of education and take that kind of a risk in life. So usually I recommend people to. I mean, this depends on who you are also, right? Like I don't know if you are the next Zuckerberg, right? But there's only one Zuckerberg till now, and there's one Bill Gates. Most of us are normal people, so it's hard to know if you are Zuckerberg because you have not gone out yet and met more people in the world because you are still in school, right? So it's a generally a better idea to work like do your school, do your college, talk to more people, understand who you are. If you are the next Zuckerberg, you'll probably know by now that you're a genius and you can do shit which other people can't do. But if you're not, then it's a better idea to do college and do school and finish that, educate yourself, become a little more mature, and then start a company. Dhanush has asked, I'm 17. Can I start a startup? Yeah, you can. There's nothing stopping you. So you can build a product and see how things work. Uh, I am considering not going to college and upskilling God level. Sounds cliche, but is it feasible path to take? If yes, what about a safety net considering Indian culture? So yeah, Abhay, I would recommend you do go to college and you can upskill while you're at college also because like I went to bits and like I had a lot of time to sit and browse the internet, take whatever course I want and read whatever I want. So life is long. There is no need to do everything today. So um I would say go to college because most jobs still require you to have a most good jobs require you a college degree. If you don't have a college degree, then you should be a god level coder. Then you have a shot. But otherwise, it's just very hard to sell yourself without a college degree. So and more than that, it's fun to be part of a peer group, right? Like if you go to college, you meet friends, you hang out with them, you make lifelong friendships, you learn from them. So that aids your overall personality development also, right? Like for example, I met my wife in college. So there are a lot of good things which come out of going to college, and I would also recommend that you should go to college. So Varun has asked, can I share a redacted version of the best cold mails you receive? I'll do this in a blog sometime, hopefully in the next few weeks. Da Vinci has asked, what if the demand is there? We can feel it, but the product isn't ready, so can't show the downloads. So this is exactly every founder thinks that I have had a brainwave of an idea that nobody else has thought of till date, and if only somebody gave me $1 million, then I'll show the world, and then I'll build this, and then I'll do that. Most of people who think like this are wrong. If the demand is there, then logically somebody would have built something already to service that demand. If it's a new idea and there's something changed in the world which uniquely makes it possible now, then you should build it. Like this action of saying that but the product is not ready, we can't show download. That's a logical fallacy. You should be able to build something. There are no code tools. You can bootstrap it on WhatsApp. So there's something you can do to make sure that you can prove that people want to use this product. Vinci has asked, sorry, scroll down. What are the necessary assets and info for going into the seed round? Usually, you need a MVP, basic product, and a deck, and that's about it. You can also record a Loom video of you taking the investor through the deck, and then just share that video with people. Gautam asks, how do you look at learning and upskilling of a person? Ever face issues regarding it? Not sure what that question means. Arusha asks, how long does it take for VCs, micro VCs to fund after there is optimism from the fund? Usually 2-3 weeks, Arushi. Like in 2 to 3 weeks, if they're excited about the idea, they'll give you a yes or no, and then it will take another 1 or 2 months to complete the agreement and the legal process. But in 2 or 3 weeks, you should three maximum 3-4 weeks, you should get an answer from people saying yes, I want to do this deal, or no, I don't want to invest in you.
Kushal?
Cyrus has
Uh,
asked a good question. Yes, Cyrus, you should research. There are every fund has a thesis, right? Like for example, look at this fund called Kuona Capital. They only back fintech ideas. If you go to them with an edtech idea, you're wasting your time, right? So even if they take the call by mistake, you will waste your 1 hour and their 1 hour. Or if you look at, it, like BNext, for example, is primarily fintech. Sauce VC's D2C brands, Fireside does D2C brands. So like most funds have a well-defined thesis and it's usually on their website. So basis that you can decide, where you want to go and pitch. Sure, we have like 7 minutes more, so yeah, we can do that.
sure, definitely. So I've requested Ritik. Ritik has been. Yep, Ritik, you're here.
Uh, Hi, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, so I wanna ask, like, I am a student of BSc. I'm in final year, and I have cleared my mind that I wanna go for business or something by my own. But recently, I'm facing the issue of starting out. How to come out of that? Like, I wanna do which problem should I pick? Means, how to get into that zone of in the mindset of doing a business or doing like uh, cracking a problem and finding best solution and how to monetize it. So can you tell me what's your experience of building a business and how you identify yourself as a businessman when you are after college or when you are figuring out your career?
So usually, good idea is to look at problems around you, problems that you faced, or your family faced, or your friends face, or any kind of problem that you see which can be solved and nobody is solving it. You go and solve it yourself. That's the only sort of answer. Other option is if you want to do like a services business or like a anything which makes money, then you find a friend who's doing it, learn the skill from them and start the same thing. So for example, if your friend does freelance blogging online, you can learn from him what kind of sites he gets work on, how much he gets paid, how he gets paid, and then you can sort of start doing the same thing, right? Or if your friend is a YouTuber, you can go understand from him. You can like basically sit with him for a week and see his life and learn from him and then copy that. So that's a great way to start a business. But if you want to do a startup business, then you need to find a problem and that has to come from you. Like nobody else can tell you how to find it. Like look for problems around you that you can solve.
Okay, okay, means starting from the basic one. Okay, sir. I will connect you on LinkedIn and then we have a conversation because right now, as we have only one question allowance, so it's fine, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Ritik. So the next person is Da Vinci. I sent you the request. Just accept it.
Hello, Kushal sir.
Hey.
How to identify problem which we convert into solution? I don't have a great observation skill. How to identify problem and see how this is scalable and turn into hundred of crore of revenue.
That though something though you'll have to learn on your own, right? Like you can't like there's a reason why there are only few billionaires in the world, right? They've developed their own mind and they've read up and they've spent time and they've improved they've improved themselves to a point where they can find a problem that they are worth solving. So this anything which you directly face every day, right? Like for example, if I was living in Bangalore, then I knew that calling a cab is very difficult. I have to call a call center, then I have to wait for half an hour while they connect me to somebody. Then I talk to somebody. Then that is how we used to book cabs. You have to call a actual number and then wait for somebody to talk to you, and then you tell them your address. Then they'll write down your address, and then they will send a cab. So if you want a cab at like tomorrow 5 p.m., you have to book it today. Otherwise, there's no way you will get a cab tomorrow, right? So this was clearly a problem. So somebody built Ola and Uber and they solved this problem, right? So think about all the thing you use in your day-to-day life and think about, is there a way that I can, I could have had a better experience, and why can't I build that better experience?
Okay, I know, but I problem this face, but how to know masses also face this problem?
So you are part of the
If
masses,
masses,
right? If you face the problem, other people like you will also face the problem.
I think I should feedback from them.
Yeah. So I mean, see, if you as a, how old are you? 18, 20? How old are you?
18 years.
If you have a problem, likely other 18-year-olds will also have that problem, right? Like maybe your problem is that I want to find somebody to date, right? I'm not able to find a girlfriend. Now this problem every 18-year-old boy will also have, right?
Okay. Understand, sir. Thank you.
So just think of what you have as a problem, and it's easy place to start. Because otherwise you'll have to imagine problems that other people have, right? And you don't know if they really have them.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Hey Kushal, am I
Arishi,
audible? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Probably
so
can
I
I go
had this.
first? Is it?
Oh, yeah,
Sure.
Arishi,
I
you go
mean,
first.
I have like a burning question. So yeah, I think Kushal, you must be aware of Lido Learning and their shutdown. So, what's your take on edtech startups? Would you consider them sales-led, distribution-based, or would you think that they should focus more on product innovation? Um, yeah,
So
that's it's simply it.
see, if you are doing the sales-led approach, then you need a lot of money to be able to continue doing that for a long time, right? Like what Byju's is doing or what Unacademy is doing. Then you need a lot of
Mm-hmm.
money to spend on ads, acquire leads, and you have a call center which calls those leads and sells them a product, right? So it is doable, but you need a lot of money and you need a lot of a long runway to execute. Lido unfortunately I think ran out of money, so they had to shut down. But yeah, that's the trade-off. Product led is something like say Teachment. Teachment is also an edtech product. It's a simple app which lets anybody start taking coaching classes online. So they have had meteoric growth and they've grown really fast, and I don't think they have a sales force or anything like that. They just like teachers discover the app online, download it, and they go and use it. Uh, yeah, so I'm a bigger fan of the distribution led approach and not the product led approach, not the sales led approach. But yeah, EdTech has a lot of potential because people spend a lot of money on education, and they spend right from the child is born till the time you're a professional. So for 20-25 years of your life, somebody is spending on your education, right? So it's a huge market for sure.
Right. And just to follow up on that, I'm really sorry, but like you said, it's a distribution. This is what you prefer. So, in case you're a non-tech solo founder and you come with a lot of sales experience, how are you perceived by VC? Because you're not from a tech background, but you know how to execute and you know how to distribute it and you know how to sell. So, what is your take on that?
So see, if you're a good salesperson, then you should be able to sell yourself to a tech co-founder also, right? You should be able to convince somebody to come and join you. If you can't convince one person to join you along with you on the journey, then that's a red flag usually, right? But otherwise, also as I mentioned earlier, there are ways to work around not being able to code. There are no code tools today like Glide, Bubble. There are many platforms where you
No,
can.
sorry to interrupt you. I just meant that I'm a solo non-tech founder.
Yeah.
So, and I know how to execute, and I have a lot of people who can work in tech and have built an MVP. So
Okay.
now I don't have a tech co-founder. I am going as a solo founder to VCs and pitching. Does that, but I'm just concerned how am I perceived being a solo non-tech founder, even though I can execute and it's a sales-led product.
You will improve your odds if you get a co-founder. I'll put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not impossible to raise money as a solo founder, but you are making it harder for yourself.
Got it. Thank you so much.
No problem. I have to drop off, guys. I think what I'll do is I'll leave my email here in the chat window.
Kushal, can we take like one last question from Da Vinci?
Yeah, sure.
Please. Yeah, so I have a very common question. I currently work in currently work in Teachment, so I work in the growth team.
Okay.
And I have a very common question that most of us might be having right now, like how necessary it is to be a student from tier 1 or a tier 1 college or someone from an IIT or BITS
It's
to
not necessary, but
start
obviously,
a
see, they
startup.
have an advantage for sure, right? Because, uh, like for example, as a VC, I get 10 pitches every day. So
Mhm.
it's easy. It's a easy way for me to sort. I'm saying, chalo, let me talk to the IITians first, because at least I know they're smart, right? And I'm not saying the others are not smart, but I know these guys have a basic level of intelligence at least. So let me try there, right? It's a lazy shortcut essentially, but it doesn't mean I'll ignore all the other pitches, right? Like that's not how it works. Like if somebody send me a good, well-crafted email, then I can gauge intelligence by other factors also, right? Like for example, I'll also reject an IITian's deck because it's a badly made deck or it's something very stupid written on the deck, or like you can also make out that somebody is not very smart even though they went to IIT based on the deck or the note that they send you, right? So as long as you send a well crafted note and a well crafted deck explaining what is the problem, how you are solving it, you will get the call. And once you get the call, then it's up to you to pitch well on the call so that people can understand, okay, this person is smart.
Yeah, that answers my question. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Kushal. I believe that's it for the session. And I must say, I've personally learned a lot. And yeah, it's been like a great session. Thanks a lot.
Thanks,
Thanks for
everyone.
coming.
Thanks everyone for having me. Bye bye. Bye bye.